Yep.
Hey, give me a moment.
Now Bianca's delaying. What'd you say, Bianca? While you're stuffing your mouth with ramen?
Yeah.
It's only my opinion. Coffee milk.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. This is Coffee Milk, another episode, another week. We are excited to have you guys here. The show is about opinions, guys. We're going to give you our opinions, and we're sure from the comments we've read already that you're going to give us yours. Let me introduce my two hosts here with me. I have Jake. Jake is here with us, and also Bianca. Bianca is here for another week, another show. Guys, how was your week? How has anything changed? Is everything still the same?
Bianca, go first.
Yeah. Same old, just trying to not get the Rona. Having panic attacks about the Rona. Today I had some post-nasal drip. I think it's because I said before, I sleep with the air conditioner. And I woke up, I was like, but I think we're good.
Good.
I went to the mall a week ago, and that was disgusting and awful. Yeah, I wanted these shoes really badly, and they were only in store. And so I was like, all right, I'll mask up, you know what I mean? Go to the mall. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to pick up some food on the way back from the food court. Terrible mistake. People are eating at the mall in the food court. And it's disgusting.
Yeah.
And
wow.
I felt like I could feel the COVID.
Humans, we're not good at learning lessons. We're terrible at that. We see like harm, and we see the consequences of other people not taking this seriously, and yet we continue to do it. So I don't know. Jake, how was your week? Anything changed?
Yeah, I started working with the census, so I'm enumerating. I'm doing my civic duty. So somewhere in a neighborhood near you, I'll be knocking on doors, enumerating people, basically counting people who didn't fill in their census. So I'm sure both of you guys filled in your census. To our viewers, fill in the census so I don't have to come to your house on a hot day and knock on your door. But yeah, I started my job. And that's been taking up most of my time, but it's good. Feels good. I'm a federal employee now, so yeah, living great.
Traveling back and forth. Oh my God. I don't know. Yeah, like that sounds like a really cool job, and for what they're paying, it also sounds like it's worth it, I guess, for the drive that you have to make.
Commuter rail, but yeah.
Daily basis. So, how many times a week do you work?
5 days a week. So, but they reimburse me for traveling, so yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
Not too bad. Yeah.
How about you, Cleon?
And same old, man. Just trying to maintain. Nothing really new. Nothing really surprising. Yeah. Like I said last week, the weeks are just sort of the same. I anticipate new things happening, but not bad things. Hopefully they're all good. But yeah. Yes, but I didn't really do crap. I guess that's the best way of me saying that I didn't do anything this week at all whatsoever. So yeah, that was that. So guys, this week, I think it's a nice week to talk about this. Cause it's something that it's in my mind all the time. I'm constantly thinking about this. We're going to talk today about sort of happiness and how to maintain or acquire it. And it's literally, I think, every day I wake up and I think about that. I think about how do I consistently stay happy, and what I need in my life specifically to make me happy. And those are just very hard questions. I don't know about you guys, if those are things that you think about, or you generally are a happy person. Jake?
Yeah, you gotta point somebody because I'm
Yeah,
like,
I know. My bad.
like,
My bad.
talking at the
My
same
bad.
I know. I mean, yeah, I think the reason you have to point one of us out is because I think probably all of us and probably everyone watching this show struggles with maintaining happiness, you know, especially in times like right now. You know, I lost my job at the beginning of the epidemic. I think a lot of people are in that, a lot of people are in that boat. And yeah, when unpredictable things happen, when we don't, when things go beneath their expectations, when we expect things to go one way and they don't, for no reason, it's always been a struggle for me to maintain my happiness, especially when there's external things going on that are negative in my life. Yeah, and it's difficult. I don't know what Bianca has to say about it.
Bianca, what do you do?
What were you gonna say?
No, I wanted you to continue. I didn't want to interrupt.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no. So I feel like in general I'm a happy person. I'm a optimist. I'm a glass half full type of gal, which has just been helpful in my life. With just like, you know, I always have this belief that things will get better. I don't really have like, and it's crazy because I don't understand people who don't feel that way, but I get that people don't. I just can't relate. I'm like, yeah, of course things will get better. Like, why would they not? So I'm just waiting. But with the Rona and everything that's going on, it's starting to really get me down because it feels like at this point should have ended. Like when the Rona first came through, it was like feeling like, all right, we're all gonna hunker down for 2 weeks, you know, and then it's gonna be over. And then it was like, all right, it didn't end in 2 weeks, but surely, you know, in a couple months, you know, people will get the message and, you know, stop spreading it or whatever. And now it just feels like, how is this ever going to end? And, you know, a vaccine is scary. I don't know, whatever. You know, when that comes out, will people take it? I don't know. So anyways, that's been kind of getting me down. But in general, I'm a happy person. And being a mom is really helpful. I happen to have a happy baby and the world's most adorable baby. And when there's a human or even my dog, like when there's someone who just loves you, when I walk in the door, like the kid smiles, like it's just, there's nothing better than that. It's just like, all right, everything is okay, you know?
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And I would agree with you. Like, I think naturally I am a happy person. Like, I want to see the positive side of things. But I think the world has transformed me into not the most happiest person in the world. Like, it's my nature, but like it's my nature to always be joyful. But I guess the things that I've dealt with in life and sort of how I feel like life is right now, it's it doesn't allow me to be my full joyous self that I want to be. And I kind of get mad at that sometimes. I kind of get mad at myself for not being who I know I am. But it's just it's very hard, man. It's very hard. What do you like, Jake, for instance? Like, what do you do during times when like you are not feeling so well, when the world is getting to you? Like, what do you do to maintain specifically?
Well, I think you brought up a really good point about how kind of when our personal mythos doesn't match up with our personal reality. So in other words, when like how we see where we saw ourselves at this point or whatever, like our expectations for ourselves are not matching up with reality. That's been a big source of unhappiness in my life. And like when it comes to just like really crushing depression that like is dangerous, like the only time I've ever experienced that kind of stuff is when I felt like that. Just felt like I wasn't living up to my potential, like I was a failure, stuff like that. And I do two things consistently. I exercise a lot. I'm very obsessive with exercising, and that always has a positive effect on my mood. And if I'm busy with something else and I don't work out for a few days, I feel myself getting a little more depressed. You know, it has like a physiological response. And also, I've started doing mental exercises. I'm a really big fan of history. And I'm also a really big fan of kind of thinking about what my biological ancestors were doing. And when you look back at history, just so many of our ancestors, the people who made us who we are, whose blood are in our veins, had such enormously difficult lives. And I just try and put that in perspective and just be like, you know, if my hunter-gatherer ancestors or like my dirt farmer peasant ancestors saw the way my life was, saw what like I ate for breakfast every morning, and then heard I was depressed, they'd be like, get the fuck out of here. You know, you're living in paradise. So yeah, working out and trying to put things in perspective.
But isn't everything sort of relative? Like, I get what you're saying when it comes to that, but they don't have to deal with a lot of the people from the past, don't have to deal with a lot of the crap that we have to deal with in the future. So is in the present, I mean. So I think as much as we think that we live this cushy existence, I don't think we do. I think we have way more things to worry about than they would have to worry about. So I think it's okay that we are sad and we're unhappy with life.
See,
I don't see anything necessarily wrong with that.
I'm never going to tell anyone they can't be unhappy or they can't be sad, but I think that's not true. I think we do have it much easier than almost, no matter who.
Well, in what way?
I mean, just like people were constantly worried about starvation. Like until the 1900s, you could
still do that.
Children that most of your children were like, at least half of your children were going to die of disease before they turned 5. Like we grown up, your siblings die that way. There's just numerous things that have made our lives much easier.
So the starvation thing, we still are, that's not something that we have found an elixir to. People are still starving on a daily basis. Kids, people that live in your community, who live blocks away from you, are still starving. So I think we have to deal with everything that they had to deal with. They had to deal with war and murder. We still deal with that. They have to deal with all, I don't see that. I don't feel like that we're living such a cushy ass life. And it could be perspective, right? Because even though you and I, we might be living in the same town, in the same state, we are living 2 different kinds of lives. So I don't know.
Of course, but I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me. But when it comes to starvation, malnutrition, crime, violence, all of these things, really, no matter what social problem we're talking about, racism, classism, things like this, they're all still problems now, and that's true. And I shouldn't have marginalized that. But by any count, they've gotten better over the past 100 years. And that's also, that's not just in terms objectively, that's also the differences between us. I mean, as bad as they are right now, and as pissed off as people are about it right now, of course, it was much worse like 150 years ago. And I think that's across the board. Infant mortality, everything bad about life, I think, was worse. But it's neither here nor there. People are still depressed. It's part of the human condition. And there's some evidence, at least in my life, when I was living in the Middle East and people were trying to kill me all the time, I wasn't depressed. I was in the moment. I was focused on that. It was when I came home and didn't have those pressures when I really started feeling bad. So,
that's interesting. Sorry.
Go ahead,
I was going to say, I think about people like Robin Williams, who, you know, to us had it all. You know, he was famous. He was hilarious. He brought joy to us. Why would he not be joyful? Why would he not, you know, people just adored him, seemingly, I guess. I guess I don't know about on a personal level if his family had issues, but he killed himself. And I always think about things like that, like, God, like, it is so relative, like you said, and just like happiness is such an odd thing. Like he technically had everything going for him. Why was he so dark in his brain that he felt like he was no good to this earth anymore, you know? Like, I actually, this is such a good topic because I really do think about that. Like, because I really do not relate to that. Like, I have never, and this is a privilege, you know, I've never once thought, oh, I don't belong in this earth. Let me kill myself. I'd be better. People would be better off without me, or, you know, or I'm hurting so badly that, like, I just want to die. Like, of course, I felt very severe pain and things like that, but never to the point where I was like, oh, like, I should just, you know, die. It's so odd that people get to that place. I truly don't understand it. So if any of you have some insight, I would love to hear it.
I think the lack of support a lot of the times will bring someone to that. I guess I can talk personally. I'm the type of person that I'm the opposite of you when it comes to that. I've dealt with depression for a very long time, and there's tons of time that I've thought that I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be a part of this whole existence. I don't want to be a part of this. I just don't want to. It doesn't make sense for me to be here. I have nothing here. I have nothing to give. So I think it's about your worth and how you feel about yourself and how people make you feel about you. If you have a connection, if you feel like you have love, if you feel like you have a family, I feel like it's much harder. And I'm not saying that people who do have that don't. I'm just saying it's much harder to get to the state of wanting to end your life. In the case of Robin Williams, when it comes to like with a person that seemingly has everything, I don't know if that's necessarily true because financial worth doesn't mean you have everything, right?
No, I didn't mean that. It just seemed like he had support too. It seemed like he had. I think he had like a family. I really don't know much about his personal life. I'm just assuming here because I think he has kids or a kid or something. And like, I don't know. Like you did. I would have to look into it. But I thought that he had a family, and you know, he certainly had the support of his fans.
It probably has to do with his self-worth, and if he feels like he's, because if you think about it, like someone like a Robin Williams who got to an apex, right? He got to like the top of the mountain fame-wise, and then you start to sort of go down that mountain, right? And everything, and so maybe if you put all your self-worth in your artistry and being an actor and being a celebrated actor, and you see slowly that star's dwindling, whatever self-worth you had built up starts to dwindle also. I think I'm not saying, I don't know this, I'm just saying if you put all your stake into this one thing, into this one passion. I'm not saying that's the case of Robin Williams. I'm just assuming maybe that might be a reason. Even someone like Anthony Bourdain,
hit me hard.
The chef. What'd you say? Repeat that. I'm sorry.
Oh, it just Anthony Bourdain hit me really hard when he died because I never saw that coming, and he was sort of like someone I looked up to, maybe more than Robin Williams, and yeah, it was shocking.
Yeah. So I think depression is irrational, to be honest. You know. I think we all have different levels of triggers, like the certain things that trigger us into, like what triggers me might not be the thing that triggers you to the point of what, we all have these different little fucking levers that if you touch, we will fucking explode. Sorry, I keep swearing. So it's just, I think the pursuit of happiness is one of the hardest things we do as humans. The thing, for me anyways, it's been the hardest part of my human journey. When I was younger, it was more abundant. There were more things to spark that joy. It was easier to be happy, to be content. And as you get older, as I've gotten older, it just gets more complicated. There's more things that you need. There are actual people that you need to feel sort of complete. So happiness, I feel like, is the pursuit of it is the hardest, and I'm always, I guess, jealous of people who get it, because I want to be there. I want to be to that level of happiness. But like, how do you maintain? I don't know if I asked this question already, but sort of how does one maintain that? And I know in life there's ups and downs. There's times you're going to be happy, and there's times you're going to be. But how do you keep it on an even keel so you don't dip too low and you don't sort of like, is it possible to do that, Bianca?
I think some things are out of our hands, obviously. Like, let's say a death of a loved one or something. Like, there's nothing that I'm gonna do to like keep myself together, really. But I think, things like Jake, I think taking care of yourself physically is super important, and I need to work on that. But I think, and just when times are getting bad, keeping some sort of normal routine, even when things don't feel right, just continuing to do the stuff that you normally do probably would be helpful. I don't know. It's so hard because, I mean, things just fizzle out. I was thinking the other day, like I had a birthday recently. And like, you know, when you're a kid, you get excited for your birthday. Oh my God, I'm gonna have a birthday party. Oh my God, my friends are gonna come over. There's gonna be balloons. There's gonna be cake. Holy shit. And like Christmas. Oh my God, so excited. Whatever. And like, I feel like year after year, and it's not because I'm getting old. Like, I'm not a person who's like, oh my God, I'm 30 and freaking out. Like, I don't care. But it just feels like holidays and things like that get less and less exciting. And you hit a point because you're like, oh, like when you're a kid, there's so much to be excited about. Like, and so I wonder, like, how do you get that back? I really don't know. It's so weird.
I think the only way is to have dreams and goals and pursuits. If you don't have those things, I feel like if I didn't have dreams and pursuits and goals, I wouldn't be alive. Like that's the best way that I feel like I can maintain is sort of have these goals and these things that I am constantly pursuing and constantly going after. I feel like if you let your mind idle, it's a terrible thing. And I think that's what we are trying to fight during this whole, pandemic, sort of an idle mind, fighting an idle mind. Were you going to say something, Jacob?
Yeah, it's just interesting because when I was at my most depressed, I found that actually my goals were what made me depressed because I wasn't achieving them essentially. And, I guess I wanted to have, more or less a life like Bianca has, a stable career, partner, and to have kids with them, and, I obviously my career is kind of over because of COVID, and I just got out of this very long-term relationship I was with. And like, it's horrible because I do miss her and stuff. And I do wish I had a better job, but like my stress level has gone down so much. And I've just been focusing not so much on long-term goals, but just on enjoying the moment. And that's really revolutionized things for me in terms of my
I think you're absolutely right. When you say that you're absolutely right, because even though as a person who's constantly pursuing his dreams and goals, I do recognize that pursuit keeps me going, but the lack of attaining that also makes me feel like I'm not worth shit. When I feel like I'm not at the level artistically where I should be or whatever, that also makes me feel like shit. But I feel like I get more joy out of the pursuit than I do the bad parts, if that makes sense. So, and I feel like maybe you were in, and I don't know your relationship, but maybe you were, and well, not knowing Black women, I don't want to say that. But what I was going to say, I have to edit myself.
I'll fight you.
Yeah, careful, Clan.
I know.
What was you gonna say?
Nothing. This is what I wanted.
My ex was great, and I love Black women. I just wanted. I don't agree.
No. What I'm trying to say is that women in general, I don't want to put any color. When they're trying to build a family with you, they're going to put the pressure on you for you to be the most successful that they think that you can be. And they don't understand that that's a lot of pressure. And I don't know if that's what you were going through, but that's a lot of pressure, and it doesn't make you necessarily the most joyful of a human being if you constantly have that pressure to be great.
The pressure wasn't just coming from her, like I was getting ready to put it bluntly, I was getting ready to have Black kids. And like, I was like, we need to make some fucking money, like I was like looking at school districts that didn't have achievement gaps. All those motherfuckers are in very expensive school districts. So I was like stressing, and it wasn't even the racial thing. Just, you have to be ready to have kids, and that was putting myself under a lot of stress.
You also have to be extra ready to have Black kids, Jake. There's a lot. It's a lot more complicated when you have Black kids than
100%, 100%. And I was to some extent cognizant of that. But in any case, just like the fact that I have no children in my horizons right now, it's like the stress level has gone from here to like what we eat tonight? We getting tacos tonight? Like, what's up?
Yeah.
Maybe you're not the Marion type.
I thought I was, but yeah, apparently
I
not.
don't. Yeah, I think you just want your own space. You seem to be more see, I would be, if I was in your situation, that would motivate the shit out of me to work toward, like, I don't know. I like, because I guess my overall goal is to eventually be married, and so that would, but I do understand I would have a lot of pressure on me, and I don't really do well with pressure, so I actually might be lying because I hate pressure. I hate when people,
Yeah.
when women put a lot of pressure on an individual, and an individual, it's just a lot. It's a lot.
Hey, wait a minute. I feel pressure from my husband too, and not on purpose. He doesn't actually like say, hey, you gotta get it together, but just being a partner to somebody in general is a lot of pressure, because you feel like we're a team now, and it's like playing basketball, like, oh, like I fucked up that free throw, like I fucked it up for the team.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what it is. It's like, you know, like if I, like right now, it's funny because he and I, my husband and I were just talking about how, you know, I need to not flip out about this whole school situation, and not like, cause like I'm very different from him. Like I'm a very vocal person. You know what I mean? Like I don't care so much. I feel like more safe like speaking on my opinion, whereas he's kind of like chill, you don't need to make a public service announcement about the way you feel all the time. And he's kind of like, hey, like, you know, don't rock the boat so much, like keep it cool. And I'm like, this is my life we're talking about. I want to scream. I want to go to Gina Raimondo's house, knock on her door and tell her how I feel about going back to work, and tell her all of the things that I've been thinking about. And he's like, chill. We need health insurance, and we need like, we need that second salary and everything. And it's like, you know, so if I do feel pressure, you know, the pressure goes both ways.
And that is a good point. A lot of families out there these days in 2020, the woman's making more money than the man. Like that is not uncommon in any demographic group these days. And there's nothing wrong with it, you know.
Yeah,
I think if I would, I think rocking the boat is the only way to get change. I don't know. Like I would be like, rock more of the boat, babe. Capsize that bitch. Like
I agree, but also like, you know, sometimes like it will come at a cost, you know, like I've seen it before in like other jobs where like somebody has said something and maybe they won't get fired for that particular reason, but it's kind of like you know, like getting stopped by the cops. Like they smelled weed, and they can't stop you for smelling weed, but they can stop you for your broken taillight and then get you for the weed. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
like, you could be like, oh, you know what, Bianca, this student said that you swore in class, which normally probably wouldn't get me fired. It might get me a slap on the hand or something. But they could be like, oh, the student said you swore in class, and you also went to Gina Raimondo's house, and then we're firing you. You know what I mean? So it's like, whatever.
I get it, but I just, that fear is just, it's like, how is anything going to get done if we just stay quiet while people take advantage of us? That's just,
Yeah.
I get that balance. It's a very thin, it's like a very thin line, but I would rather walk that line than just let people take advantage of me. I'm sorry. Like in my current job, or I guess I don't know if I'm working there because I'm on furlough. I don't know, whatever. In the job that I was at, there was a situation like that where my supervisor, the way she talked to me was very disrespectful, and I didn't like it. So I called her out on it. I'm like, I really didn't like the way that you talked to me. And so with her, I thought it ended right there. I thought she was just like, okay, I totally understand. But then later on, she tried to get me on something that was mad bogus, like a simple like little mistake. She tried to like blow it out of proportion, like I did this like terrible thing. And so I do understand that sometimes speaking your mind, there's a consequence to that. But I also recognize that if I didn't say anything in that time, she would still think it's okay to talk to me any way she wants to. And so do I settle with her, like, you know, it's just, yeah, I just,
Right. And it always
sometimes
is a
you lose.
balance, but you got, yeah, like I just, you know, you got to think about what's worth it or not. Like, you know, I have a kid, he needs to be on my health insurance.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, especially during the Rona where so many people lost health insurance.
I know, it's crazy.
Really terrible. And like, I don't want to be in that position where, like, you know, God forbid something happening, I can't bring him to the doctors because I can't afford it or whatever. Like, that's tough, man. So it's like, for me, it's like, all right, it's not worth it. I'll, you know, at least let me wait until a final decision is made anyway before I start like getting in people's faces.
I hear you. That's why it's good to have that balance.
What did you say, Jake?
I said organize the secret. So, you know, when they do open up school, well, never mind. I'll talk to you off camera about it. But yeah, you never want to be the first one to say anything, right? Because it's probably going to be, that's my anyways.
I'm going to go along with whatever they tell me, and I will be buying a space suit and Ollie, because he's going to be in a little space suit in daycare. Oh, God. This is
there's something that you said earlier, Bianca, that, you know, got me thinking. I think this is why I'm pursuing the whole family thing. Because you said, like, at the end of a day, right, at the end of, like, a tough day, you go home to your son and your husband, and everything's okay in the world because you have that unconditional love of both these humans.
And my dog.
That
the dog gives the
is
most
a major
love.
part to one's joy.
Get a dog. My dog, you know what? Ollie, sometimes he be coming home, I'm screaming. I mean, I come home and he's screaming.
You're screaming too, Bianca. Don't front.
But you know, sometimes, you know, my husband has a bad day, but I tell you, Ralph, my dog, never has a bad day. Like, every day is a great day. Every time I walk in the door, his tail's wagging. He freaking loves me no matter what, and it's awesome. He's like, oh, so my God. So
dogs is what you're saying.
Thank you. Like.
So what you're saying is dogs are the key to happiness. True happiness. If you want true happiness, buy yourself a dog, because they'll always love you forever and ever, no matter what. You just have to leave for 5 minutes, and they're like, oh my God, that was 5 minutes. Oh my God, that was like 5 days.
Yeah, it literally wasn't a joke. I asked my midwife if I could have my dog in the delivery room, because she was
like, gross. No.
She's like, no, but she was like, oh, you know, bring things that make you happy, your favorite robe, your pillowcase, that whatever. And I was like, my dog. She's like, yeah, no. He's gonna want to bite the umbilical cord off, everything else. Oh, hell no.
Tasty. It's protein rich.
Okay. All right. That was the topic this week, you guys. And we're going to move on to some Rhode Island news, my friends. So the state Wednesday reported 76 additional positive tests. 89 people were hospitalized with the virus on Monday. 2 more Rhode Islanders have died in the corona pandemic, bringing the death toll to 1,018. And that was by Wednesday. So, yep, it's still going. It's a little less, I guess. I try not to do every single day. I just pick one day out of the week and see what's happening. It's just intense. So, yeah, you know, it's still going. But good news, Gina Raimondo, our governor, she put off school for another 2 weeks, I guess. She delayed. And I think she's having a meeting with Fauci or something like that.
She already had it.
That's good.
Right. I hope she listened to Fauci and it wasn't just sort of a meet and greet sort of, hey, look, like, I talked to Fauci. I hope she actually was like listening.
Let me tell you about it, because I watched it live.
Oh, you did? Cool. Oh, okay. It was live. I didn't see it.
Yes, it was on Facebook Live yesterday afternoon, and I was really excited about it. And she didn't ask him any of the pressing questions that were actually going to be helpful. She was like, and this is not a quote, but she would be like, oh, like, do you think it's important for kids to be back in school, or should they stay home all the time? And it's like, well, yeah, they should be in school.
Yeah. Like,
You know, so it was stuff like that, and it wasn't very long. She didn't ask any nitty-gritty questions, and also Fauci doesn't know. It didn't seem like he had enough background knowledge about Rhode Island to actually get into the nitty-gritty, because he's looking at Rhode Island overall and seeing that it's a green state, meaning that we're under 5% testing positive, which is true, I think, although there's been different sources. It's very strange. But regardless, I think it is true that overall, but what he's not understanding is that the cases that we do have are concentrated into Little Old Providence, Pawtucket, and Central Falls. And so those areas are actually in the red or the orange, whatever color they're giving it. It's definitely not green. And it's like, yeah, those places are not ready to open. And Rhode Island is so small that, like, you know, Providence may be in the red, but do we really want Warwick to open, who's right next door, type of thing? Like, there are teachers who live in Warwick but work in Providence schools, things like that, where it's like, so he was like, yeah, Rhode Island's in the green, you guys should be good to go to open, type of thing, you know, as long as you keep, but then he said something like, you know, when there is the inevitable case. And that's the type of thing that bothers me, because it's like, if one kid, one parent, one person who's involved with the school system gets the Roni and dies, that's one too many that we could have avoided. That's my opinion.
Dislike Gina Raimondo. I know you guys, I said I was bold a couple of weeks ago, and you guys talked me off the ledge. And I was like, okay, cool, let me see. This has proven to me that she's not a good person. If you actually wanted real information, you would actually ask real questions. I would love, I'm not gonna go too heated, because I'm gonna watch it for myself. But from what you've said, she clearly doesn't want information that is good for Providence and Rhode Island. She wants information that's good for her outlook. And that pisses me off when leaders do that type of shit. Now, I'm not a teacher, so I can talk off, you know, I can talk the side of my mouth all I really want. That is a despicable human being. You're a despicable human being if you do stuff like that, because this isn't like, this has to do with human life. Like, why are we fucking around? Why are we playing around with human life? It's disgusting that we're playing around with human life. That a person who's supposed to be our leader is asking questions, misleading questions, so she gets the answers that she wants instead of actual answers and actually honest questions. Like, I hate politicians, man. And anyone, and any politician that's proven to me by their actions that they're a disgusted human being, I'm not going to say otherwise, and I'm not going to tamper.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I don't hate her. I think that, and it makes me, like, sometimes I'm thinking, like, does she know something that I don't? Like, does she
money.
Like, does she see, like, are there statistics out there about what actually is happening with the kids in Rhode Island? Specifically, I want to see the kids in Rhode Island. How many of them really actually struggle with distance learning, as opposed to what percent of them just didn't take it seriously because it was already going toward the end of the year. People didn't, like, she made an announcement very early on that you were going to pass no matter what type of thing. Like, I want to know statistics. How many kids are actually going hungry? How many kids are actually eating paint, or whatever Jake was saying? Like,
well, we don't have the numbers for a lot of that stuff.
What?
We just don't have numbers for a lot of stuff, because it
right. But does she? Like, I'm wondering, because in her mind, she's like, these kids got to go back to school. They got to do this and that. I really want to see those numbers. I think as a citizen, not even as a teacher, but as a citizen, it'd be important for me to see. And then as a society, we can judge and say, yes, you know what? Looking at these numbers, it is important that the kids go back to school. And damn it, I will sacrifice my life, which I don't want to, to help the better good of our society. I don't want to help the economy. I could give a shit about the economy. People's lives I do care about. So I want to know, does she have numbers that I'm not seeing? Because personally, as a teacher, I didn't get students hitting me up being like, Miss, you know, where can I get food? Or oh my God, Miss, like I'm struggling so much. Like I was on Zoom with my kids helping them. I gave more one-on-one help, I think, on Zoom than I did in the actual classroom. I think there were kids reaching out to me that actually didn't in the classroom because they're shy or whatever, you know? So like, I saw things differently. I'm confused.
Listen, before we call Gina Raimondo a despicable person, I think we have to.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I did.
The state employee, the city employee did.
I did.
Yeah. But I think we have to realize that this is like a moral hazard on both sides. Like keeping school closed for it's gonna really, really hurt students, you know. And I understand that we don't want anyone to die, but we also don't want to cause like an illiteracy epidemic. And we just don't know. I mean, I don't know how destructive this is going to be. So it's very, very possible that in 5-10 years, young people are going to be looking back on decisions made now and be like, wow, like they should have reopened schools. Like that's a possibility. Right. And Gina has to balance that, you know? So I think she's doing the right thing, delaying it 2 weeks. I think it's good that other states will do it first so we can see what a disaster it is there before we do it here.
We've already seen disasters happening.
Yeah, absolutely. In Israel, it was bad.
Georgia.
So this is my analogy on this whole situation. Okay, and I thought about it this week. So imagine there's a nuclear war and we live in a bunker, right? We can't go outside because of radiation or whatever. So what we have are canned fruits and vegetables. We have canned fruits, canned meat, canned vegetables. Now, we know that health-wise, fresh fruits and vegetables, that's what we need, right? We need fresh fruits and vegetables that's the best thing that we need for ourselves to be healthy. We need fresh fruits and vegetables. If we can't do it, all we really have right now are these canned foods and vegetables. Why the fuck aren't we eating the canned foods? Why do we still feel the need to go the fuck outside? Yes, you're absolutely fucking right that the fresh fruits and the fresh vegetables and the fresh meat is preferred, is what is best for us. But that is not available to us right now because of the goddamn pandemic. Why the fuck don't we eat these canned foods? It's stupid. It's stupid. It's dumb. It's so dumb. I hate it. Like, I don't give a fuck what the argument is. It's stupid. Like, the argument is like, oh, those kids aren't learning enough. They're fucking learning fine. It doesn't matter. I'd rather have alive, dumbass kids. I don't care. I said it a couple of weeks ago, and I'll continue to say it. I'd rather have dumb kids that are alive. It's stupid as fuck to decide in the pandemic that we haven't gotten control over, not even one time this entire time, let's just forget it. Even though it's getting worse and worse, oh, let's ignore it and just fucking try to go back to normal, even though we haven't done anything towards the problem. I don't give a fuck, man. This subject makes me mad. Like, I'm so mad because it's so stupid. All the argument, I'm sorry, Jake, your argument is dumb.
But Clan, I mean, like, how do you feel like about a model that if rates remain under 5%, you keep the schools open, and then if they go above that number?
How do you feel? I didn't hear the first part. How do I feel?
Yeah, I didn't hear you.
The general
I didn't hear the first part. Sorry. How do I feel about what?
It's just like a staged reopening. So if you live in a state where it's under 5% corona rate, maybe you open schools a little bit, and then the minute it goes over 5%, you pull back. I mean, I just feel like this is
all of this.
Where we have
all
to
the school systems that opened up.
Come on.
No, it isn't. All the schools that opened up got cases of kids. Mississippi, I forgot what state it was, and they opened up, and like 9 kids got corona, and they had to shut that whole thing down. There is no plan. Why are we putting a deadline? Kids, like, there is no deadline. The only deadline are the ones that we're making up. We don't need to put a deadline. There doesn't need to be I know she said, oh, there's 2 weeks. Fuck your 2 weeks. Let's just teach the kids from home. That is the safest bet. Why are we doing unsafe shit when the safest thing is to keep the kids at home? I don't give a fuck if they're gonna be dumb in 10 years. They're gonna be alive. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't care, man. I don't give a fuck, man. It's all bullshit argument just so that we can fucking start making money.
There's a real good argument that, like, that denying kids school will be more dangerous to their long-term health than to coronavirus, and that's especially true with young kids. Because
please tell it to me then, because I would like to know. I would like to see this evidence.
This whole argument that you're
dumb
making,
kids
this whole argument that you're making that dumb kids are better than dead kids, of course that's true, but like the consequences of illiteracy, the consequences of innumeracy, they're so,
that's not greater than dead people.
But it raises people's mortality levels, and if it's like,
it's, you know what raises their the fucking death levels is sending them to school to die. That raises it way faster than fucking them being at home. Like, what the fuck?
But what I'm saying is that it's potential to affect a lot more, like significantly more people. And I just think the classic example of focusing on the danger right here and missing the equally to greater danger in the far ground.
And that is why you continuously trip, because you're focused on something fucking right all the way the fuck over there instead of what's in front of you. You're gonna continue to fuck up if you're not paying attention to what's in front of you. If you just walked into a wall, if you continue to ignore the fucking wall that you're walking into, guess what's gonna happen? You're gonna walk into another fucking wall. Like, it's
Well, no, I mean, we always have to look at the long-term consequences.
Not move on. This is great.
You like the fighting?
Love it.
Listen, all I'm gonna say is every single policy mistake that has ever been made was made because people were focusing on a short-term problem and not looking at the long-term unintended consequences.
Jacob, what is the short-term? Okay, Jake.
Yeah.
That is a very vague statement. Because let's talk about what's happening now. You're talking about these other things. Let's focus on what is happening now. Okay, we have a pandemic. Okay, people are getting sick because of what? They're getting in contact with other people, other humans, and that's how the virus is spreading. So you spread the virus by being in a fucking small room with other humans, right? Why is the solution for safety to put humans in a small room? Why is that better than them staying at home? I understand that there's shit that happens at home. I understand that they might have parents that they can't deal with, but that is one has a guarantee and the other one is just people making up fucking shit. There's a guarantee that if you're in a room with a bunch of other humans, that you are potentially most likely going to get sick and die. These other shit about home is made up fantasy shit that people are like, oh, maybe they have a dog that licks them in their left ass cheek and they feel like, we don't know that. You're just making up bullshit.
No, that's not true at all. I mean, in the last video, major accidents involving children are way up. And that's of course they are.
Like what?
Being looked at. So
what?
Statistics in the last episode, I don't have them right here. Look at poisonings, when you look at accidents.
You need to find it. Every time we have this conversation, I'm going to ask you this.
Okay, I'll bring up the notes, but across all, it's a fact. I mean, I remember this for the last time. When you look at accidents,
it's not a fact until I see actual evidence.
Okay. You can look this up yourself, and viewers at home, check me on this. But if you look at major accidents, abuse, and poisonings, all of them have gone up since schools were cut out, and that's an obvious correlation. And listen,
that is not an obvious correlation.
Why not? Listen, if you know anyone with kids, I know tons of people with kids. All my friends with kids, both parents work. If they're lucky enough to have jobs where they can work from home, they're doing all right. Most of my friends have to leave their houses to work, and they're going crazy, and they're basically having the 8-year-old look after the 5-year-old, and that's a tough situation to be in. And I just think that Gina Raimondo has to balance a lot of very, very scary things. I'm with being afraid of coronavirus. I'm concerned about it, but you also have to be concerned about a lot of other things, and they're manifold problems that come with keeping schools closed. And I just don't think you're acknowledging there's dangers on both ends. I think we need.
I acknowledge, no, my friend. I think you're wrong. I have acknowledged that there is danger on both ends. I've acknowledged that there is danger with kids being at home. But my thing is about balance. When I look at situations, I'm like, what is worse than the other? What you and the people like you aren't doing is that. What is worse than the other? Not, oh, kids are potentially dying because there's fantasy fairies coming in their windows at night.
There's not fantasy fairies,
no.
Cleon.
What is there is one thing that's worse. It's what?
He said there's not fantasy fairies, it's real stuff.
You have not. We've been doing this for 4 weeks, and I've asked this for the past 3 weeks. You're not giving me any fucking evidence that the kids are dying more at home than they would be at school. Like, you have not. And the argument that it's more dangerous to have kids at home, in their home, the safest place on this earth should be your home. So you're saying that the place that they're with their family is less safe than a building that they're with a bunch of strangers that don't actually care about them and that give them food that isn't even nutritious. So those are the people that care more and will take more care of your kids rather than you, the one who birthed them and brought them into this life. That's dumb. That's a dumbass argument, bro. That's a dumb argument.
I think you're being naive, bro. I think you're being naive about how much kids actually rely. I mean, not all kids, but a lot of children really do rely.
As a guy from a struggling family, I'm not being naive. I am fully aware of how public schools in Providence, that I went to school, and you did too, how they treat kids and minorities and shit like that. So I'm not being naive. I am well aware with how these schools are structured, and I'm well aware because I've worked with the Providence school system for the majority of my adult life and after school programming. I'm very aware of how inside these schools look. And from my mental picture, there is no safe place in these facilities to have a bunch of kids, and there is no plan unless there is a vaccine that you can tell me that makes me feel like sending kids in a building altogether is more safe than having them at home separated.
Okay, let's just talk about facts, though. Do you know how many kids? I mean, the kids aren't the danger. It's people like Bianca and adults working there. Because do you know how many kids under 15
are in danger?
How many kids under 15 have died of corona as of June, you think? My statistics are from June. How many kids under 14 have died?
You said from June. I want it from March.
No, from February to June, as of June. So from February to June.
Go ahead, please.
But okay, can I say something before we go down that path?
Yeah.
One, the statistics about kids, and their rate of getting the actual virus is not, is based on the fact that most of them were already sent home. So that's one thing that I want to say. Two, I think it is a fact. I don't want, it's likely that kids aren't dying at the same rate that, or even young people just in general aren't dying at the same rate as old people. Get that, 1000%. But here's one of the things that kills me the most, because I do feel like, okay, if my family got it, we are young, healthy people, we would statistically likely to survive it. Mm-hmm. But I'm very nervous about what happens to those survivors. What long-term repercussions are going to come of it? So if we're going to be talking about long-term issues, we should also look at the fact of long-term issues with COVID. There are some people who who got COVID, gotten over it, but they still lose their breath by going up the stairs. And these are people who are previous athletes. There are people who have heart issues where they might now have a stroke earlier in life. Things like that we're just not sure of. There's so much unknown stuff. It's still a novel disease. And to just say, oh, well, kids aren't dying from this and so they're safe, I think is not the right thing to do. If my son got the Rona, I would feel like he would probably survive it. Thank God. I hope so. But I would be so scared about what his little lungs would look like and how that's going to affect him later on. you know?
Yeah, and there's tons of unknowns. I'm not like I just wanted to say that like from before we judge Gina Raimondo as being this terrible person, I think we have to realize that like that she has a very, very difficult job and a very decision to make. And I think Cleon is acting like it's an easy decision. And I'm not saying this. I don't feel firmly about anything because we have never done anything like this before. As a modern society, we've never been confronted with something like Corona. We have no, like Bianca said, there's very good evidence.
Spanish flu.
Long-term consequences. We just don't know. But we also don't know what shutting down society does for a year. So I'm just concerned. I'm concerned about both ends.
Loss of money. That's it.
Yeah, but like I said in the beginning, I think that I would really like to see the action. I'm a numbers person. I taught math for many years. I want to see, because if we're talking about, you know, there are some kids who were so negatively impacted, and I'm not talking about their education, because I think that can be remediated. And I think that distance learning, it's not like we're saying shut down school overall. We're saying shut down going into the school building. So let's be clear about that. I think that distance learning could be incredibly awesome if we worked it and if we had a while to like really do it in a way that was good. And also, I want to say that I think it's ridiculous that internet and technology isn't provided for all kids pre-corona. I think that tech and internet should be in every kid's house regardless of there being COVID. So I think that was already an issue. We're living in an age of tech. I think it's ridiculous that kids go home and write their essays. Who does that anymore? So anyways, but this is just shining a light on other issues. But I think that any issue can be remediated. I think that there are kids, yes, who have IEPs, meaning they have, you know, maybe they're learning disabled or whatever. Great, then they should have a one-on-one aide, check in with them 3 times a week and get their work done together in a 30-minute session. Why can't we do that? Why can't we do that? My mom is a paraprofessional in the school system. She, over the summer, worked with really young kids who have autism. And I'm telling you, the parents were like, thank you so much. My kid learned so much via Zoom, learning colors, learning their name and things like that. You can do it if you have the dedication and you have the equipment and everything to do it. The other stuff, as far as childcare, I think that there should be buildings that are open for teachers who would like to volunteer themselves. You know, there are teachers who feel like, you know, like they don't have a family at home, they're fine being a martyr or whatever. Great, then they should do that. But don't put that on all of us.
I agree, Bianca. Totes agree. And with that, we're going to move on to more Corona stuff. So
I don't know why
Mr. Deion Sanders, this story has to do with Deion Sanders. So 66 NFL players announced their decision to opt out of this year's season on Thursday, citing health concerns and desire to protect themselves and their family due to the ongoing Corona pandemic. So that is what 66 NFL players decide to do. But Deion Sanders, I don't know if you guys know who Deion Sanders is. He was a cornerback for the Falcons, the Cowboys, some other team. I think the Ravens. I don't know. He was
about 10 years ago.
Okay, because Moesha is on Netflix, and I'm fairly certain he was on an episode of Moesha that I just watched.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. I don't even know. But Deion Sanders was not, I guess, happy with the 66 players deciding to opt out. He said, and I quote, "All players opting out in all sports, please believe me, the game will go on without you. This is a business. And don't you ever forget that. There's no one that is bigger than the game itself. Only the refs and officials are that important that you can't play without them. Not you. #truth. First of all, that's dumb. Who's gonna go watch a fucking game where there's a bunch of refs on the field blowing whistles and shit and there's no players? Like, that is a dumbass statement. The most important people are fucking players. No one watches sports for the officials. Like,
yeah, and might I say, it's probably
Deion is like in a whole new other, not whole new.
Yeah, it's probably only about a small amount of those players because, like, most people go for like the famous players and everything. If it was just a bunch of bench warmers, who would even care?
Wait, you think that's okay for them? Wait, I'm sorry, I didn't understand the comment, I guess.
No, because you're saying like who would come watch a game with a bunch of refs, and I'm thinking like, yeah, even if there's like, if more of the famous, like the best players don't want to play, like it's likely going to not have good viewership because nobody cares about the unknown players.
Right, there's a bunch of no names.
Yeah,
Like,
bunch of no names.
Man, I don't understand. I guess the reason why I guess I'm upset with this story is I don't understand. Sometimes certain black people, right? They get wealth, they get money, and it like fucking just, they all of a sudden don't remember where the fuck they came from. like you were a player once, and you were the man who always wanted power in your decisions and everything that you did, and now you're judging people for deciding to fucking, opt out of this whole ridiculous NFL being open shit. Like, it's not even necessary. Well, I guess it's necessary for sports lovers. I tend not to be an avid sports watcher so much in these days. I don't know about you, Jake. Do you watch sports?
I do. I've actually been trying to watch less NFL because that was my favorite sport. But the concussions and stuff have made me feel guilty. And I feel like this is, a lot of players have not been sympathetic towards players who have been hurt with concussions, And I think there's just more of the same, the NFL more than other leagues really traffics on the bodies of their players. It really, really fucks people up, for lack of a better word. A lot of young kids get fucked up trying to be NFL players and never make it. So yeah, I mean, I wasn't aware that Deion Sanders was making crazy statements like this, but he's certainly not the first NFL player to make statements that just completely dehumanize other NFL players. So yeah, it's too bad. I think that sports should probably stay closed. Especially you see what's happening with some college football. Yeah, it's not good.
I mean, they have the money to run rapid tests pretty much every day, don't they?
Yeah, but I don't know if that's so let's say they can take rapid tests. Like how does that prevent the disease from spreading?
Well,
the idea is if one person gets it stays in that one person.
Right, exactly. So like every time they're going to get, let's say like they do, socially distant practices or whatever, but every time they're going to do a game, I don't know. I'm just thinking like do a rapid test real quick just to make sure nobody's got it. And if they do, send them home.
My understanding is that the NBA has done a pretty good job with things. Other leagues have done worse jobs. I guess I'm cool with, the NFL allowing people to opt out, I think is the right call. Certainly if you're going to open, you should allow people to opt out, I think. And yeah, I think probably Sanders he's probably, he's probably ignorant about the coronavirus and kind of encompassing this broader cultural thing in the NFL that's kind of, I don't know, it's bad, that just sort of like dehumanizes the players and really traffics off their suffering. So yeah.
And Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys, he said, he had a press conference and he said the Dallas Cowboys plan on playing all our football games and we want to play them in front of fans. So Jerry Jones wants to open up the stadium. Not only does he want to play a football season, but he wants to do it in front of fans.
Well, Jerry is smoking crack because even Texas is not crazy enough to do that shit. So he's got to put the crack pipe down.
I think if you have an outdoor stadium and you only assign seats that are, I would go as far as 15 feet apart since people are going to be yelling and cheering and everything.
Yeah, that's
possible. What?
I said the problem is that people are constantly going to be cheering and spittering everywhere.
Yeah, they're going to be spraying.
Like there's a lot of cheer. I don't know if you've ever been to a live football game, but there was a lot of touching and a lot of cheering, and your team does something great, and strangers are hugging and high-fiving. with
That's pretty
alcohol and all
gross.
that. It's
Yeah,
just
the
trying to seem
alcohol,
like a
yeah.
smart.
I mean, a big part about reopening the parts of society we need is keeping the parts of society we don't need closed. You know, and I mean, I love. I'm a concert guy more than a sports guy. You know, but like, I'm not going to be going to a crowded concert until they have a fucking vaccine, and that's just the way it is. And I think it's the same with sports fans too. And it fucking sucks, but I mean, he's crazy to think that this is going to happen anytime.
Yeah, and I agree too. And that should have even happened with the whole, if we're going just quickly back to the school thing, like if you want school to be open, then I
Close
would
those
say we do
stadiums.
not do indoor dining at restaurants. We do not have, large capacities at the beaches. We just shut shit down, man. We just shut things down and get our numbers so incredibly low that the statistic, I don't know. I know it's hard because, people need to make money. Oh, what if I work at the, such and such and I need my job back? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's tough. This is hard. It's hard.
Decisions, man. Tough decisions have to be made. All right, guys. It is time for this thing that I wanted to try from the beginning. We're gonna get into the audio breakdown portion of the show, my friends. Jacob is going to be in control of our audio. So I know you guys out there have heard this conversation about the Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion video entitled W.A.P, Wet Ass.
P-word.
Yeah.
You know what wet ass purity. I don't know. Have you guys listened to the song?
Of course.
How do you like it?
Yeah, why would you ask me that?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe like having a kid. Maybe having a kid changed your outlook on music, and you gravitate now towards a certain kind of music.
I only like nursery rhymes now.
Not that. Why does it have to be one major or the other? Why can't there be a balance?
You can't twerk to nursery rhymes, Cleon.
Hey.
True. I guess. Well, I don't know. I don't know that.
I take it back. You probably could.
Like, I don't know. So yeah, this video has been like controversy galore. You have two strong women rapping about their vaginas and how much moisture it has, and people are just going off the dome. And so right now we're gonna break down this audio. There's this podcast that I listened to called Roast Me Live or something like that. I think it's called like Roast Me Live or whatever.
We'll put a link in.
I was listening to it, and they started discussing the whole W.A.P thing, and I would like for you to listen to some of the things that this gentleman has to say.
I'll hit it.
Man, why don't they stop playing and just start fucking on camera, man? What is up with all this play fucking, man? Everybody was defending Meg Thee Stallion and she a dope rapper, and Cardi B. I like them both, but stop play fucking. Either you fucking for money or, what are you doing?
So he's pissed because they're being sexy, and he's calling it play. How is it like everyone play fucks? Isn't that what you do in sexy music video? You play fuck. Isn't that what you do in movies? You play fuck. What's wrong with play fucking? Bianca, is there something wrong with play fucking?
No, of course not. I think women should be able to do whatever the hell they want to do with their bodies, and that's their business. And if you are watching it and you don't like it, then you can turn it off. It's as simple as that. I really hate that people put these rappers, especially female rappers, in this place where they're like, you have young viewers. Like, there are kids who are like 5 on Pornhub. It's not the Pornhub's fault that they're on there. It's the parents. Maybe you gotta put a child lock. I don't know. But it's not their jobs to be good role models or anything. And to be honest, I think women celebrating their bodies, however sexual they want to be, it doesn't make me mad. And let's be clear, there have been so many disgusting songs by men, other women, I mean, this is getting played out. At this point, when I heard the song, I was like, okay, this is another iteration of blank, my neck, my back, whatever you want. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of nasty songs.
Yeah,
who cares?
My whole point, my whole, I guess, thing is that I don't understand why this is the song that got them over that point. Like, why is this the song when there's been so many songs? Literally, there's a Biggie song. What is it? Biggie, One More Chance. When he's like, when it comes to sex, I'm similar to Thriller in Manila. Honey, call me Biggie, the condom filler. Whether it's stiff tongue or stiff dick, like he's like, there's always been songs on the other end where men are talking about sticking things in this and this getting licked and all that. So I don't understand. All right, but he has more to say. Oh, go ahead.
Female rappers have been rapping about sex since, like, since before, since Little
Kim.
Or it's people are acting as somehow new, and that's what was shocking to me. I was like, have you not heard a rap song before?
Salt and Pepper.
Yeah, shoot. Yeah, we all love that shit, and it's crazy. I don't know why people are
like, it's pretty clear that sex sells. I'm so tired of it. Like, people need to just get a grip on their lives. Like, if it offends you, then don't watch it. It's as simple as that.
I feel like men at this point are getting butthurt. And by butthurt, what I mean by butthurt, like, because of all the revolutionary things that's happening with women right now in society, the fact that we can't sort of talk the same way we used to talk about women 5 years ago, and that's happened pretty rapidly. I think men are becoming a little bit I don't know, I feel like they're not, that is affecting them, and they're not, I don't want to say they're not as manly. I don't know the best way to say this, but I just feel like that is harming the way they feel, and so they're taking it out and being sort of irrational about women's sexuality, because women are a little bit more confident and a little bit more, they're taking more ownership of their sexuality. So I think that's making men a little bit insecure. And that's why I think a lot of the dudes have issues with this whole video. Because when we were in control and when men were making all kinds of video about vaginas and penises and stuff, we were okay with that shit. We were fine with it, but now that it's on the other end and women are kind of degrading us and being like, hey, suck my blob because you like it type lyrics, we're like, oh, I don't know how to handle this. Like, I don't know how to deal with all this.
I love those kind of lyrics. I have more songs like that, the better, honestly. I love that attitude.
All right. We're going to move on to the next thing, my friends. So I don't know how you guys like this last week, but I know I told you guys last week, and it's still the same this week. I'm not good with certain rap lyrics. Sometimes rappers, they write these lyrics and it doesn't make sense to me. And I feel like I need to bring it here so we can discuss it as a group and maybe together figure out what this rapper's trying to say. In a segment I'd like to call Cleon Doesn't Understand Some Rap Lyrics. So the first artist is Rick Ross, and the song is Rich Off Cocaine. And the lyric goes, burning butter, got it smelling like butterscotch. So it confuses me, that line confuses me, because when you burn butter, it doesn't smell like butterscotch. It's not like a sweet smell. I don't know if you've ever burned butter before. It just kind of smells like butter.
Smells like nutty.
What? Yeah. So what kind of butter is he using that it's like smelling like butterscotch when you burn it? I'm curious, because if there is such a butter out there, I want it. I'd like to try it. I'm fond of cooking, so if there's a butter that tastes like butterscotch after you cook it, please someone email me the link. If there's a website I want to
according to Google, butterscotch is made by boiling brown sugar and butter. So you have to add that sugar.
But he didn't add the sugar. He just had the burning butter. Okay, I see that. Is that how you make butterscotch? You have to.
According to Google.
I didn't know butterscotch was made that way.
Apparently.
Butter is a analogy for something else. I'm not sure because I don't know the rest of the lyrics.
Oh, I see. Are you thinking like the butter is, because the song is called Rich Off Cocaine, so the butter is like cocaine, and butterscotch is like
crack.
cooked cocaine. What's cooked cocaine? Is that crack?
Crack.
Yeah.
Oh,
Come on,
geez.
Cleon.
Oh, wait, no.
Come on.
So the butter is the cocaine.
Possibly. I am not proud of this. I have never smoked crack, but I have seen it cooked on occasion, and it does not smell anything like that. It smells pretty bad, in my opinion. So I don't know. Maybe he was using creative license.
Yeah, but I think Bianca might be right though. I think he is. Knowing like it's Rick Ross, he usually makes like drug songs about cocaine, so his butter in this sense might be cocaine, and
it might just be
butterscotch.
That's sweet cream.
All right, the next artist that we are going to analyze is his name is Vanilla Ice, and the song is Ice Ice Baby, a classic, guys, a very classic song.
My white brother.
Yes, nothing like that beat though, nothing like that Phil Collins song whatsoever. They're very different, very different. But the lyrics, they go, chumps acting nimble because they're full of 8-ball.
What's
And once again, chumps acting nimble because they're full of 8-ball. What 8-ball?
No, so 8-ball I believe is a 40 ounce. I believe it's a slang.
Oh.
So yeah.
Oh, is he saying that they're drunk?
Yeah, they're full. Back in the day, this was before we're old as shit, but this is before our time. Like rappers would drink malt liquor 40s, which are fucking disgusting.
And they're called 8-balls?
Yeah, there's like, I think it's Old English 800, which is extra alcoholic and extra gross, and that was called 8-ball. And
so
really fuck you up. It's like when I was in my day, it was like $2 for a 40. It's probably like $5, but it's disgusting, dude. It's gross.
Cool. So he's just basically saying there's a bunch of that chump is basically drunk. He's a drunk asshole, and he's acting that way because he's all hopped up on liquor. He's a wino and all that.
I believe
is what he's saying.
That's my impression.
Gangster. Got it. Cool. All right. The last lyrics that we're gonna analyze is Young Jeezy, and the song is Put On, and this is what he says: inside fish sticks, outside tartar sauce.
I'll let Bianca get this one.
Inside fish.
Inside fish sticks.
Fish sticks outside.
Bianca, you
tartar
seriously don't know what this means?
Inside the
is that a thing?
It means inside the car, the seats are leather, so they are the same color as fish sticks. And then outside the car, it's white, so it's the same color as tartar sauce.
Oh yes! Oh, I see. Yo.
How am I the one explaining this to you guys?
You outblacked us on that one.
I thought he was talking about a vagina. I'm glad it's a car.
Oh.
I thought he was talking about food.
No, it's pretty gross actually to even think about that, but I don't know. I don't know, man.
I don't know what kind of vaginas you're dealing with, Bianca, but
No. I was just a college try there.
All that too much tartar sauce, right?
All right. Well, thank you guys very much. I appreciate you guys helping me figure out those lyrics. Hopefully my week will be a lot better knowing what they were talking about in those songs. So we're going to move on to the part of the show where you guys have to convince me of some things. Now, this week we're going to do it not really that different, but these are things that are actually, there's some new things. So the first thing that we're going to do is foods. And this is an actual thing. So Cheetos, they're making macaroni and cheese flame. Wait. They're making macaroni and cheese flavored. No. They're making Cheeto flavored macaroni and cheese. There we go. That's what I wanted to say. They're making Cheeto flavored macaroni and cheese. It's called Cheetos McCheese, and they have the flaming hot version, and they also have the cheesy jalapeno version. So these are actual things that's going to that are coming out. So, and convince me, Jake, you're going to be against. Bianca, you're going to be for. You guys have to convince me why I should, when this product comes out, why I should buy it. I want to know why I should get the Cheetos mac and cheese. So once again, Bianca, you are for it. Jake, you're against. Jake, please go first. Please tell me why this is not a good thing.
Okay, first of all, that sounds like something you would eat in prison. It's like, yo, man, when we were in the joint, we got the shitty mac and cheese, and we ground up the chicharrones and the Cheetos. Made it good.
Probably where they got it.
Maybe if I was doing like 10 to 15, I would fuck with some mac and cheese with Cheetos on it. But until then, I think I'm gonna keep these two food groups separate and just leave it at that.
All right. Why should I ignore everything Jake said, Bianca?
That sounds fire. I love mac and cheese first and foremost, and every now and again I will be as bold as to put some hot sauce or some red pepper flake. So why do that when you can add the Cheeto seasoning, the hot and spicy Cheeto seasoning to it? That sounds amazing. I mean, to me, it's like a 2-in-1 delicious snack.
2-in-1. I like the idea of like a 2-in-1 snack, like combining two of my loves. If my love was macaroni and cheese and also Cheetos, so I combine them. Jake does bring up a great point when he says it's basically prison food, because it kind of is. Like, that's what you do as the culinary chef in prison. Like, you know, for your mate, for your cellmate, you sprinkle a little bit of that jalapeno Cheetos in there, in your ramen or whatever. Spice it up a little bit.
Never know.
And I'm a black man, and I don't want to be reminded of prison or jail, so I'm gonna be anti. I'm gonna have to go with Jake on this one. Jake, it's just I don't want.
It actually sounds good, honestly.
So the next thing that we're gonna move on to is artists, guys. So I don't know if you know this, but there is a Fresh Prince reboot. Are you guys interested in that? So according to the Hollywood Reporter, there is plans to turn a trailer. I don't know if did you guys actually see this revamped Fresh Prince trailer that was on YouTube? It's sort of a different take on Fresh Prince. It's a more serious adaptation of the. So, anyways, go check it out on YouTube. There is a Fresh Prince sort of reboot trailer. Show depicting it in a more serious light. So I guess a bunch of people saw that. This video came out a while ago. A bunch of people saw that. So supposedly, according to the Hollywood Reporter, there is plans to take that and make it into an actual series. And they're shopping it at a bunch of the online apps like Netflix, HBO Max. So this is a real thing that might be happening. So I don't know. Were you guys fans of the Fresh Prince, the original Fresh Prince?
Definitely.
Yeah, of course.
Right. Are you guys excited for this new reboot?
No.
Well, who cares? You're going to have to convince me. Bianca, you are for this lovely reboot that's happening, and you are against Jacob. You're definitely against it. Since Jacob went first last time, Bianca, you're going first this time. I know that you like it, Bianca, but you have to convince me why I should not even attempt to watch this show that's being broadcast on my apps.
No,
huh?
For. I'm anti.
I'm for.
Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies. Okay, Bianca, convince me why I should watch this, why I should spend my money. Maybe it's $10. I know for Netflix it's $13.99. HBO Max is a little bit more. So please convince me why I should take my hard-earned money and purchase an app so that I can watch this wonderful new show, this reboot.
God.
Come on, Bianca. You're
Uh,
doing a terrible job. Oh God, like.
I really don't know what to say. It's an awesome show.
This is what I would say. You definitely want to see this wonderful new show because it's a brand new take on the Fresh Prince. Yeah, I know that we watched in the past and we saw Will had the moment of when his dad didn't come and visit him. But imagine that scene again, but in a serious light. It's going to touch you even more than the original already touched you. So personally, I say we should all tune into the new reboot because it's going to be fantastic. Oh, there's probably going to be a new Uncle Phil. You know, I want to see the new Aunt Viv. Aunt Viv. Is her name Viv?
Vivian.
Vivian, yes. I want to see all of that. I want to see new Carlton. I want to see the whole dynamic. Hopefully though they don't make it too serious, okay? I want it to keep on the light side. I don't want it to be too over dramatic where every episode Will almost gets shot by gangs or some dumb shit like that, okay? But I do think that it's a watch. But what about you, Jake?
Bianca's right. It's gonna be.
Actually, no. You're the opposite.
Dude, Bianca's right. It's gonna be whack as fuck. We don't need a remix of The Fresh Prince. Will Smith and them did it well enough the first time, and also they're gonna make it serious. It's funny. It's a comedy. My favorite character on The Fresh Prince was Carlton, and the fuck you gonna make a serious Carlton? I rest my case.
So,
Jake wins.
Bianca, who convinced you?
Definitely not you. That sounds horrendous. I don't want to see it at all. I mean, they already tried to remake a lot of other shows, and I don't think any of them were successful. I think they all suck when you try to remake those shows. I mean, it's such a classic. Nobody can be like how the young Will Smith was. Nobody's going to be a better Uncle Phil than the Uncle Phil who, God rest his soul, already passed away. They already had two Aunt Vivs.
Yeah, that people got mad about that.
I missed the old aunt. I want the dark skinned Aunt Viv. She could dance her ass off. She was amazing. She was beautiful. I loved her. I didn't like the new Aunt Viv, so I'm already heated at the end of the old Fresh Prince. I don't need a new Fresh Prince. I'm all set. Jazzy Jeff, like, who's gonna replace him? I mean, Tyra Banks was his girlfriend there's just so many things you can just not replace.
I hear you. Fine. All right, with that, guys, we're gonna move to the last and final thing that we do every week on this show. I don't know if you guys know this, but Bianca does not like birds. She hates them. She's afraid of them. She thinks that they should not exist. If there was a button that she could press that could wipe them off the entire planet, she would press that button every day.
Well,
I'm here to try to convince Bianca that birds are okay. In a segment we'd like to call Bianca, birds are like really cool. Now, the bird that we have for you this week, Bianca, the bird is called a swiftlet. Okay? So some swiftlets, appropriately named edible nest swiftlets, build nests almost exclusively from their hardened saliva. The saliva nests are consumed and are considered a delicacy. Mostly Chinese people. It's a Chinese delicacy. And they sell this as soup. So they take the nest and they make bird nest soup out of it. So why I'm giving you this information, Bianca, is because I think that what you could do is get a bunch of Swifties, or what are they called? Swiftlets? Yeah, Swiftlets. And you can harvest all their nest, and you can start a whole business where you're either selling the nest to chefs who make the soup, or you can make the soup itself and make so much money off just the nests from birds, Bianca. And that's why I think, Bianca, that birds are cool. Because look at that. Think about that incredible. Your husband, earlier today, you were saying your husband is worried that if you speak your mind that you might not have like money, you might lose your job, not have money. This is a great second thing to do. This is a great thing to have on the side just in case.
First, no disrespect,
okay.
but Chinese people will eat anything. It's crazy. But that's what I want to say.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely hideous and disgusting. I can't imagine. First of all, a soup that tastes like spit, I'll just swallow. I'll be okay.
Well, supposedly it has no flavor, so the nest itself doesn't taste like anything. You can add to it. It's like tofu. You add whatever your favorite spice is, and you make it taste however you want to. And you
just eat it for that
drink
great
it.
spitty
you can
texture.
Literally just have a bunch of birds harvest the nest and sell it.
No
Right.
thanks. No thanks. I would rather pretty much do many other things to make money than that. I'll have a yard sale. I will. There are many other things I can do.
If it was a choice between stripping and selling bird nests, what would you do?
Yeah.
Binary choice.
Yeah.
Remember, you have a
I don't
son.
have to harvest them myself from the birds.
You can make
But
that
that's the thing. You can hire someone to do that.
Then I'll sell them. But
Oh, so wait, hold on, wait, time out. So if I convinced you, Bianca, that birds are really cool.
the hell no.
What?
You convinced me once again that birds are disgusting. You convinced me once again that birds are probably a hazard to our health and our well-being.
How are they a hazard to our health? Well, actually, the nest doesn't have any real nutritional value, but still, it's not taken away. It's adding.
I bet it's probably got some E. coli, some salmonella.
Dude, they're gonna get COVID-20 from those motherfucking birds now.
I was just about to say a whole nother coronavirus, bird flu. Yeah, I'm all set. That's just
All right. Well, Bianca, I'm gonna be back next week. When we come back next week, I'm coming back with a brand new fact, and I'm gonna try to convince you that they're cool. I don't care.
like that.
So, what?
Please don't tell me something disgusting like that. That's my whole day. My mom made banana pudding. I was getting ready to eat some as soon as we hang up and everything, and now I'm not, because all we think about is bird spit. That's disgusting.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't want to do the opposite effect. But thank you, Bianca, very much for dealing with my garbage. Thank you, Jake, very much for dealing with my intensity this week.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
We had a spirited conversation, as they say.
Yo,
You're wrong.
I enjoyed the show. I hopefully you guys out there enjoy the show. Please. Oh yeah. Please remember to like our videos and subscribe to our channels. And we do read your opinions that you've been writing. They're kind of creepy, but
shout out to all the white supremacists. We love you guys.
No, we don't.
We don't. Yeah, maybe Jake. Maybe Jake loves you guys. I'm a little concerned. Oh, but like I said, remember that this is a show about opinions, and we like to give you ours, and I'm sure we're going to hear yours, and we'll be reading. Thank you again for joining us. We'll see you next week. This has been Coffee Milk.
Peace.
It's only my opinion.